Hey everyone, welcome to the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Van. As a cognitive behavioral therapist, life coach to women, and author, I've spent my life studying and learning from the stories that make us human. It's my passion and goal to help you shift your mindset and create a lifelong revolution to help you reach your greatest potential. I have a big question for you. Are you trading your time for money while denying your inner desires and purpose? So many women do. In continuing our conversation about full life ownership and getting your life together, we once again focus on turning our passion into tangible, life-sustaining businesses. This time, we shift our mindset into making our social media pages into something more than a collection of staged photos and funny memes. This week, we chat with Instagram guru and strategist who is the queen of everything IG, Brittney Batla. Brittany is all about being yourself while leveraging your dreams, mindfully creating your audience and serving them while living out loud and loving what you do. Brittany takes us on a journey through her own leap into business, her struggles, the best tested IG strategies. We talk about reels and stories and everything in between. And most importantly, we talk about how women can help serve other women by doubling down on themselves. She's been a personal help for me in the Get Your Life Together Girl community, and I know she will inspire you too. This next hour gives you all of the information you need to start turning your purpose into a thriving passion while using social media. Be prepared to be fired up. The Get Your Life Together Girl podcast starts right now. So excited to have you here because you've actually been somebody who I have followed on Instagram and really have taught me so many things to really take my platform to a different level. And I'm interested to know about you and your story and why you do what you do.
Well, I appreciate that because, it's really hard to think about it myself as that way, as inspiring others, because it's not necessarily what I set out to do. I just set out to help a handful of people figure out how they could navigate Instagram to help promote their business and market themselves. And I didn't really see myself growing as much as I did. Not that I didn't want it. Everybody wants growth and followers, but that wasn't the original intention. It was just to help others because I was in such a, I won't say a terrible point, but as far as what I was doing for work and how stressful and everything it was, I couldn't do that long term. And I knew there had to be others like me. So it was just helping those few. And then it kind of snowballed, which is an amazing thing because it's like you blink and then you're here, right? And you forget about all the little things that happened along the way.
That's so true. But you are an inspiration. I love that it was an organic movement because so often, as we've seen with social media, it's not organic. You have been very vulnerable and really open with your story. So I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself and what this journey has been like.
Yes, we go back to what kind of started it all. I was a personal trainer and CrossFit coach, and I'd been doing that for a long time. And it got to the point where I moved across country from where I was at and thought I was getting into a job that was going to be more of a career in my health and fitness industry, which is working for a gym that's a competitor to CrossFit, similar style. And they had franchise, but I moved across country and by myself with just my dog Rogue. And I got here and it was not the situation that I thought it was going to be. There's a lot of things I could say to that, but I spent just under a year not realizing I was in heck, I'll say. And
you can say it on this one.
I was in hell, not really realizing it because I'm one of those people that I'll make it through anything and I'll keep rising to the occasion. You keep throwing something at me, I'm going to overcome it. And I got to the point where I thought I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I got fired. And I've never been fired from anything in my life because I'm an extremely hard worker. And I was going above and beyond for this job, even though things behind the scenes were going really badly with the owner. It just turned out he couldn't handle my fierceness as a female. Like he just couldn't get around the fact that I knew what I was doing and like that I was a strong-headed female and he just needed submissive females if they were going to be in his life. I'll say it like that. That's how I felt. So I was terminated and I lived by myself, too far away from my family. And I was almost on the point of homelessness. I was about to be evicted from my townhouse. There were weeks that I would have to decide if I was going to feed my dog or myself. And my dog always won because she's the best part of me. And it was really rough. I did find another job. It took me a little while because the former boss did a lot of damage to my reputation. But finally, I found another job. And that's actually where I met my husband. But it took a while. And once we got together and he moved into my townhouse, things started rolling, getting better. But I found another job that was a job, and it was waking up at 4:30 in the morning to be coaching a class by 5 a.m., to work until noon, to get an hour off to come home to walk my dog, to go back at 2 o'clock and be there until 9 o'clock. And that was like 6 days a week. And on my seventh day, it wasn't rest. It was programming for all of my personal training clients. And it seems glorious because you're in the health and fitness industry and that should be happy. But I was run ragged and I didn't know what I was going to do because not only was I working all these hours, I wasn't getting paid in a way that could get me ahead. I was just always being stifled. So we did end up joining a network marketing company, my husband and I, and we found like that light at the end of the tunnel. We were really excited about it. Like anybody who joins a network marketing company, not for the get rich quick scheme that a lot of people put out there, but we were genuinely in love with the product, still are, still use. And the concept of just like, hey, you don't have to create anything more. So I combined it with what I was already doing, because it's in the health and fitness industry, and put that together. I'm an introvert, which may seem crazy right now because I'm on camera and, doing podcasts and my Instagram, but I'm an extreme introvert. And I was already working so many hours that I couldn't add anything else to my plate. And I found like, okay, I sat down really hard and I'm like, I don't want to do social media because as a person, I'm not on social media much in the first place. But I said, if I were going to pick one, where do I see the most growth long-term? I sat with it for a little while and I knew Instagram was my place. So then I started to try to figure out Instagram for my business. And it took a long time, but I was able to slowly market myself and my network marketing business on Instagram and bring in clients, not only clients, teammates and things. And it wasn't that I was going and spamming and I wasn't DMing a bunch of people, all the things that people are turned off with network marketing. And then it turned into all these people wanting to learn how I was doing it with Instagram. And it's just grown above and beyond that. So when I tell people like niche down and figure out your small community that you want to help, that's how it started. And that's where it began. I was helping other network marketers in the fitness industry who were personal trainers on top of that. And that's a very specific niche that it was in. And now it's entrepreneurs and small business owners alike, Etsy shop owners, real estate agents. It's pretty amazing how far it's grown. But I look back and I see my dog, I'm like, it was not that long ago that you ate dinner and I didn't.
Exactly. I have to really applaud you for knowing that you could move through that and that you had the strength to do it, because a lot of people just say, I can't do anymore. And then to see a light in the tunnel and really say, I'm going to take this to the next level. It's something though, I think that so many women are afraid to do. Can you talk to that point about fear, about pushing yourself, especially because you said, I'm an introvert, which I know I've heard you say before. And I'm like, no way, no way. I don't believe it. But if that's your truth, how do you push yourself in that manner? And what is the advice for women to really step out of that box?
I think the biggest thing is being an introvert is, and it's something Tony Robbins said, but it didn't happen. I didn't hear it until after I had already started working my way through it. It's like when you keep saying you should do something. So a lot of women out there are going to say, I should get on Instagram and I should put myself out there to market my business and my products or my services or whatever it is. I should do that. And then that one triggering moment that goes, I should to I must do this.
Yeah.
And I think it was at a breaking point where my hair is falling out. And I'm on the floor at 4:30 in the morning crying because I didn't want to go to work because I didn't know if we were going to be able to afford rent the following month. Like it was pretty bad. My husband is also a small business owner. And at that time, he's like, you definitely didn't marry me for my money because I had none, and like down to the point, like we didn't even get wedding rings. No money. And it's, you get to that breaking point and it's like, I either have to overcome and get out of my comfort zone to find a way to get myself to the place I want to be and know I can be, because I think deep down, we all know we can be something different. We can all be a better version of ourselves, not different from ourselves, just better.
Right.
And it's finding that point where you're like, I can't break any further. So it's either I should, and I'm just going to keep living in my comfort zone, or I must, and I've got to jump out of it.
Yeah.
And I think that before it gets better, it's going to get to that point. And then I think that tipping point happens for a lot of women, especially because the stigma used to be the man goes out, gets the money, brings it now home. We can't live that way anymore. The way the world is, women have to be putting in just as much effort, just as much work, and more so, especially if there are kids at home. It's 24/7 versus just the demand of the job. And I think at a certain point, most women are going to realize, like, if they have a passion, they have something that they want to get out there to help other people or to sell or whatever it is, that it's at that point where they're going to find that must, where that trigger happens to the must. And maybe you have to sit with yourself and meditate on it and do a lot of internal work before you find that, if it's coming. Because I think if you're listening to this, that there's something there and it's coming. Maybe you should nudge yourself along and meditate on it just to get there faster versus waiting longer.
Yes, such great advice. So many women do just that. I should. And we hold ourselves in place instead of really taking action and becoming who we are in that better version, as you just said. So for that woman that says, okay, I do have the idea, I have this thing that has been brewing inside of me, and I don't know how to take the next step, what would you say to them?
It's going to suck. It's going to be messy. It's going to be uncomfortable, but you have to do it. There are still people that have followed me from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And they're like, I remember when you were just overcoming my shyness was just, I would get on camera and the introvert, and I would do something that I knew I could do. I would do a Chuck Norris joke every day in my stories to overcome being camera shy. And, after my first live, I threw up, and it took me a long time to be okay with doing like podcasts and, big team trainings and things like that. But like, it sucked. Like my first posts were terrible, but you have to learn to laugh at it and be okay with what it was. And, we do things, and, then you can look back and see how far you've come. But it's the thing of like, just be okay with the fact that it's not going to be perfect. And a lot of things might have to sacrifice in your life for it to even come out. And my husband and I always say, like, when something isn't perfect or doesn't go right, we're just living a C+ life right now, because that's how it, some things might have to fall to the back burner so you can let that come out.
I love that we're living a C+ life right now. My dad would always say to me, just be average, right? Shoot for average, and anything above that is winning. And that is, it's such a great standard to live by. And many people think, oh no, I want to, hit the top all the time. It's impossible. You can't do it. Yeah.
Right.
So I really want to use this time together to really encourage women to, normally we talk so much about mindfulness and life revolutions and these really hard stories that we've overcome and really creating, but as an expert where you are, I want to give women this fundamental push to find that drive, to move into this space. And, Instagram is still this growing platform that if you have that idea that is burning, you can take it there. And then all of a sudden, you're going to look back and go, wow, like where did all these people come from? Where did all of this, greatness happen?
Right.
Walk us down Brittany's best.
I would say that the first thing that you can do is have faith in yourself, that you're going to find your path along the way. Yeah. There are people that you can surround yourself with through social communities, as far as following people who give you the little bit of tips and the free info that can kind of help you make yourself better as you go, because investing time in your education is about the best thing that you can do right when you first start. If you don't have the money to invest in it, use your time wisely when you're looking at things. follow people that inspire you, and then just start creating, but creating with a specific person in mind. And I know that it's really hard when you start to be like, my stuff is for everybody. It can help everybody. It's like, it can, but you're not for everybody.
Right.
There are people that are going to look at you and hate you just for the way you look. And there's no reason for it. So you have to find the community of people that if you were to walk into a room and they were there, they'd be just like, come here. You're my best friend now. And that's who you're searching for on Instagram, is that community of people to surround yourself with, essentially. And those are the followers that you're going to try to attract, but you're only attracting them if you're speaking to them. Otherwise, everything you post is just like throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping something sticks. And until you know who you're helping and who your products are meant for, then it's best to just step back until you figure that part out, because the rest is just going to be overwhelming and time consuming until you get to that point.
Yeah. And there's so much misinformation about you should do this and you should do that, and make sure that you're, using all the 30 hashtags or use the 15 or the 10. There's so much, right? And so everything is so individualized. Once you really get going, it takes some time to get all those metrics down.
I would say that there are a lot of people in my space, and find the handful that you follow that you have a good vibe with. And I think that's the thing. Like, if you have, and I'm not going to speak any names or anything like that, but if you have a thing of like, I want to work and never stop, there are people out there like that.
Yes.
If you have the thought process of, I need to have a real life and avoid burnout, and I want this to be a part of my life that I don't look at like a chore, or look at like, I got to do this again, or a hamster wheel, then find those people, because they're out there too. And if you like people who, are a little bit more on the, I would say frilly, or, kind of soft spoken side, and you do, find people who can teach you and talk to you in the way that you like to be taught. Because I think we gravitate towards those people and we can learn better. So whatever their philosophy is, follow that, because obviously they're speaking to you, and it may not be mine, and that's okay, because I'd rather you succeed than listen to me and be like, I hate the sound of her voice. Like, I'd rather people listen to the people who, really speak to them.
Yeah. Do you find that you even, and we're going to take a sidestep for just a second, because I know this is going to be something that, as we're talking about, okay, we're going to show up, we're going to post, we're going to, really take command and do all of those shoulds now. We're going to start experiencing some women that say, oh, this rhetoric that's in the head at this point is really consuming, and I'm not sure, I don't know how is going to take over. How do you step out of that? Because I know even with all of the ninja mind tricks that I have, I can get myself into that space just as easy as anyone else. I'm sure that you experience that as well.
Honestly, there's not much I can say other than we all experience it.
Yeah.
Every single one of us. And it's being able to push through that, because it's just another obstacle. Your mind's another obstacle. It's being able to get through it. And I think if you already are at that point where you're getting to the, I should do this, those voices are going to come, and they're going to come often, especially in your first few. But once you kind of get something that maybe goes viral, or you get a sale from a particular post, like, ride that high. And if you can, journal about it, mark a tab, whatever, video diary, whatever it is, so you can have that feeling. Because I think that's something that I didn't do a lot along the way, is document my wins, as small or as big as they were. And if I could go back and do that, and then when I'm having those bad days where I could be like, oh, but at this point I was this, and and this is how I felt when this did this, or when I made my first sale, or, whatever that is, or my first 10K month. Like, if I had those things, when you go to those dark places, you're a little bit easier to come out from them without being so emotionally drained.
Yeah.
But we all go there.
Yeah, I agree. We all do. And you can go back, right? We may not have that exact feeling, but we can go back and really document those things and kind of feel like, oh yeah, well, I have done all that. I often will talk in my private sessions with ladies and say, do you have a success list? And they're like, what? I'm like, a success list. Every success that you can think of so that when it's hard, you're looking at this list. And they're like, no, I don't even think I have anything. I'm like, give it a try. And then 5-6 pages later, they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. We do have to take stock in those moments, just like you were saying. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you are a course creator. So many beautiful, wonderful things that really can take you to the next level in your business. Ladies, if you are not really doing all the education, that's a huge thing, as you had mentioned just a moment ago. In doing that, what has been the biggest kind of eye-opening thing for you?
That you can create something from nothing if you just have one idea in your head. And I think that's the biggest thing. I had no idea what I was doing when I created my first course. I had only been through a couple myself, and they were nothing about Instagram. They were about fitness things. And then it just clicked in my head. I'm like, I don't have to do one-on-one sessions. I can do a course if I have the idea and just have that idea and backtrack it and then lay it out. It might take time and it's not going to be perfect. Like a host, it's not perfect the first time, but you can go back and you can fix it. You can make it better and better and better.
Yeah, that's great advice. So Instagram best practices, let's talk about that. How about that? Any places that you want to start and really how we can show up best if we are trying to create businesses or courses or products or anything that can be out there. We're inventing something new.
Absolutely. Don't be scared to show your face. That's a big thing. Unless you're Nike or Adidas or Dyson Airwrap, and even that they're using influencers to sell their products. So you have to look at it as you're the influencer of your product. So people will buy from you because they know, like, and trust you. And that trust is really there. And people will buy things from you that they don't even want or need because it's you, or they don't, that they don't think they need, and they'll refer people because of you. So being very open and on your page is one of the best things to do. Just your face. Your stories, you can get very deep and you can be every bit of yourself as you want to be. And don't be afraid to just show up without, I think one of my frustrating things as someone who's looking through stories is, especially when it comes to, it's a mom or just someone who's stressed out, they apologize for their hair or the lack of makeup or whatever. I'm like, don't apologize, because it's really who you are. And no, you don't need to apologize for being who you are. So show up exactly as you are. Don't apologize for it. There's no point of it, because nobody even really noticed. That is, unless you're, just need people to see that you're just having a bad day and you want to be real with them. There's no point of that. So be yourself, show up consistently. Don't think that you have to be perfection, because Instagram is no longer just an influencer app. It's not just girls in pretty dresses and guys with these weird poses. That's just not what it is anymore. It's, especially with the introduction of Reels, it's a lot less production and a lot more real life. So put yourself out there. And as far as best practices go, if I could tell you to invest in anything, it would probably be a ring light. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That would be the biggest thing. Find a space in your house that has some form of wall that's not dirty. And I will say, I don't live in a very nice townhouse. I live in a very old townhouse. Eventually my husband and I want to buy a house, but we're small business owners. It's a little bit difficult right now.
Yeah.
So, find a space that is okay, or a backdrop or something that you're comfortable with. But a ring light is like the first thing that I would tell anybody to invest in, because if you're doing any form of video, which you absolutely should be, then the ring light will definitely set you apart. That is one thing that Instagram is just like, hey, quality of video matters. So light matters. And you can just tell a huge difference if you even stand in front of a big window. So ring light, Amazon, $40.
Yeah.
You're going to save for it. And I understand, like, some people, they just don't have that. So start there. Yeah.
And I know one of the biggest things for a lot of people will, be like, well, I'm not an expert. I'm just getting started. I'm not sure anyone's going to listen. What would you say?
You are an expert to somebody, because there is somebody about 20, 30, 50 steps behind you. All you have to be is 1 or 2 steps ahead of the next person. That's all that matters. If you know one thing that they don't know, you're already an expert in their eyes. You don't have to have a certification. I don't have a certification in marketing, or degree or anything like that. I have no college education to my name, but you can, if you know something else and you're passionate about something else, then it doesn't matter. You just know more than the person behind you. There might be somebody who knows something like 50 ahead of you, and that's okay. Let them do them while you do you. And just know that you don't have to know it all. You don't have to be the 100% expert. You just have to be willing to help others and be a couple steps ahead.
That's so true. And, the other part of that too is a lot of women feel pressure to be that 50 steps ahead and to kind of mimic the reels or the stories or the post or whatever. And you can see it. It's very clear that it's not genuine. Yeah. And so, be your best self, your best self.
Absolutely.
Do you get a lot of comments or questions about that?
Yeah, there are usually people who are like, but I don't know everything. And I'm like, nobody knows everything. Yeah. The person who you look up to and admire knew nothing at the very beginning, and they've learned along the way. And that can definitely stop a lot of people, but I don't have XYZ and they do XYZ and things like that. It's like, that's okay for them. And it's okay because you're going to find those people who trust you because they genuinely know that you care about them. And that's the biggest thing, is like actually genuinely care about people and not just out there to get money. I mean, I don't think if someone's sitting and listening to a podcast that they're out there just to get money, but like showcase that, let people know that you care, actually respond to people when they DM you or comment on things. And that shows them that you're taking that extra time and that you're not just trying to collect followers along the way. But know that like, it's okay that you're maybe don't have this fancy degree or the best camera equipment or whatever it is, or even if you're making a product, you don't have the best way to do it yet. It's just nobody really thinks about that when it comes to actually following you or purchasing from you. They just believe in you, and that's their belief is what leads to their purchase.
Yeah. That you brought something up, which is really, I think, is interesting. And I think there's been some steps within Instagram to kind of kill this mindset, and that is followers, where everybody was chasing that 10,000 follows so they could have that silly swipe up. And then, we were looking at, well, if you have over 10,000, then you really are this page that we should follow, where there are some great creators out there that are still, at 200 or 2,000. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, everybody has a chance to be successful. And I always look at it like this. And I even said it to my husband the other day. I said, because I got an influx of followers or something. I'm like, these are great. Like, this is great. I'm not complaining about the growth, but I just hope that my current content is reaching the people that I want it to reach, and that it eventually allows me to help them on a deeper level. Right. And he's like, just keep believing that and manifesting that, because I was going through a little bit of a low point for myself mentally with my reels and everything. And I was stuck at a certain follower for a little bit, and I had to keep them like, how do I say this in a positive light and know that I didn't reach 10K followers. And that was instantly the turning point for my business. I was well below that. I was actually only at 4,000 followers when I quit my job full-time, about 4,000 followers when I was able to quit my full-time job. Yeah. And the followers don't pay. Essentially, followers, the amount of followers you have don't pay your bills. It's the quality of followers that you have. Yeah. And if you have 500 high quality followers that are really leads and customers, then you can have 10 six-figure business with less than 1,000 followers. I've seen it happen. Yeah. And people don't want to grow beyond that because they're already overwhelmed with what they have. So just know that it doesn't matter how many followers you have. It's the relationship you have with conversion on the back end of being able to get this purchase or whatever you're selling.
That's very true. And as we grow bigger and bigger, it's harder to reach those people that have been following you for a long time. Yeah. It's very difficult to do that.
Yeah. And that's the hard part too. When you grow, it's one of those things, the more you grow, the less your engagement is. And I know that's crazy for some people to think, well, if I have 100,000 followers, then 100,000 people should be seeing all my. No, it's not the case. The more followers you have, the more likely you are to have people in there that are spam or, like fake accounts, or people who've not been on their account for years and they followed you 6 months ago and they've, since abandoned their account. You have all of that. So it starts to lower and lower the engagement because you can't keep up with people as easily. So while it looks great to have 10K followers, if you're just collecting them along the way and they're not those perfect people, then you're not even reaching the right people. And then the conversion just isn't there. So yeah, it seems great in a sense, but a slow growth is much better than an overnight growth, because I've dealt with accounts who are overnight and they're like, but I have no engagement on anything else and I'm not making any sales. I'm like, it's because you did something, and I usually know what it is. And it got a lot of people who didn't want what you had to offer. And it was just that one thing that you did. And they're like, well, what do I do now? So it takes a little bit of time. So just know that slow growth is better than overnight, because slow growth means that you're collecting a community of people who actually want what you have to offer and will eventually want it. If you haven't even built anything yet, if you haven't even created a product, they'll eventually be there ready for you when you're ready to release it. But if you go overnight, it's possible that you might have done yourself more harm than good.
I think I know what you're alluding to. So let me just throw it out there, because there's going to be someone who's listening that says, oh, but I got this DM and I can get 10,000 followers overnight by paying this $30 and it's going to be great. What would you say?
Please don't do that. Please don't do that.
Please.
Once you do it, I can't. Once you do it, we have to create most likely we have to create a whole new account, because Instagram literally knows everything that you're doing. And they know when you're doing something that is not organic, and their whole philosophy on Instagram is organic social media, like being organic, being real, having fun, being social. They want it to be the place to hang out. And they're like, you just bought 10,000 spam accounts and you're in trouble. And could they kind of block your account from being seen because they think maybe you're a hacker or you're doing bad things too, because you did technically do something bad? Yeah, it's possible. It's possible that the entire account that you created and all the hard work, you might have to start over.
Yeah.
And figure, from square one. So, and they can also take away your account too. They can, it's a free app. The terms and conditions state if you buy followers, use third-party apps that track like the people who follow you and unfollow you and things like that, unless it's an approved app by Instagram, they can take you to all away. It can be gone tomorrow and you would never even know. They just can't log in anymore. So if it seems like it's too good to be true, it is.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine waking up and your Instagram account's gone? That makes my brain like itch.
I posted about it the other day in my stories, because there are hackers and scammers out there willing to do anything to get your account. And there are even accounts that pretend to be Instagram and who will DM you, and they want your account so they can sell it to those people who are DMing you. If you want 100,000 followers or whatever, you just pay $50 and you have all these followers. They're doing it so they can steal all these active real accounts and then sell them to those, bot sellers. And it's scary because you put so much hard work into it. It's no backup. You have, unless you're creating your email list, if you lose it, that's it. It's where, right back from the start. And it's very scary to think about. It
is. A lot of people just absolutely lost their minds when Instagram and Facebook went down for, that period of time. And all of us who have been listening to you and to others, and we're like, we have an email list, we're fine.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that? And I also want to talk about conversion, and because I think that's going to be very important for these women who are thinking about starting a business or active business owners. But first, let's talk about that email and what happens. I mean, you don't actually technically own your Instagram account.
No, you don't. Unfortunately, it is a free app. And when it glitches, messes up, it does all the crazy things that we hate it for, but love it at the same time. It's free, and it's a free place that you can advertise yourself without running ads, essentially, if you don't want to, without paying for billboards or newspaper placement, all the things that we used to have to do to promote a business. You don't have to do that anymore. And you can do it all for free organically. And if you go against the terms and conditions of Instagram, they can absolutely take it away, or somebody could hack you and it could be gone. So I do recommend if you have a business or creator account, you have the ability to have a link in your bio, and you should be filtering your followers as often as possible into your email list by offering them a freebie, something in return, because it is, email address is a private thing. It's personal, and people don't like to give it up without, something in return. Mm-hmm. So make sure that you have something that's valuable enough that they want to give you their email list or email address for, and you should be collecting those emails, because if anything happened, my account was shut down tomorrow, I could email out to my list and I could probably get back a couple thousand followers right away. And, that would take away some of the hard work that would go into, getting my account up and running again. But if you're not starting that, that's it. Even if you're 5, 10, 20 years into your business or day one, that should be a focus point. And I do love that people are like, oh, I just don't want to add anything else to my, financial, everything. The one thing I love about email list providers, like the email services, is that they go by the amount of emails you have. Right. So it's an inexpensive thing at first when you only have a few hundred emails. And then once you build from there, it obviously gets more and more expensive, but email marketing is still so huge that it's a toss of a coin in a bucket. It's not a big deal for the ROI with email lists.
And if you don't know what you're doing with that, then definitely go and visit your website, because you do have a fantastic program, Email Like a Boss. I've taken it. I've been working through it. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Do it.
Yes. I just want to, because it's not, getting their email is great, but you have to continue the relationship beyond with the email, because, with emails, the concept is for every email you have, it's $1 of revenue in your business every month. So if you have 10,000 emails, essentially your business should be generating $10,000 worth of revenue a month. And that's pretty amazing. That's life-changing for most people. So collect them along the way. It's important. And that's was my hope for Email Like a Boss, was the basics of getting somebody who maybe has started an email list but didn't know where to go with it, or someone who had no idea what they were doing with email, and to walk them through. So not only could they have this precious thing, but also be able to consistently build a relationship with them and then make sales through their email and convert those people from either their Instagram or on their email list. It's pretty awesome.
Let's talk about converting. It's so important. $1 a email seems like, wow, that's very simple. That's a very simple amount to achieve. Can I do that on Instagram? Can I do it in the email? Can I do it TikTok? Like, how do I do that? Where do we start?
We start by knowing and understanding that people don't come to you for your products. They come to you for the benefit or the result that they're going to receive from your product. Mm-hmm. So it's nothing about the product itself. It's all great and everything. It has these cute benefits and all the things and whatever it is, but it's the result, whether it's going to be, and there's a list of them, save people time, save people money, avoid effort, increase social standing, things of that nature. Like any of those are key things that are going to benefit them in their lives. And that's what you have to promote and consistently talk about it without being spammy. And I know that sounds super weird. Like, how do I consistently talk about something without being spammy? One of the things I think is beautiful about a lot of physical products is, and especially in storage, you could be using them constantly. Mm-hmm. And, it's in people's subconscious, because if you're selling makeup, you're in your stories talking about your day doing your makeup. If you're, have a tumbler and you're like an Etsy shop owner and you're drinking coffee out of this beautiful tumbler every single day, things like that, or wearing the shirts, and that starts getting that recognition into somebody's head where they're like, oh, okay, then maybe I will purchase this. And yes, obviously tell people to purchase it, but the big conversion happens on the back end when you're not actually selling it. Mm-hmm. And you're showing the benefits of it along the way, whether that's sharing social proof or, talking about pains that people have and the benefits that you can provide them. And like, oh yeah, by the way, I've got this thing that can help you with that. By the way, you can snag this in my Etsy shop, and it's like a kind of like a thing, like it doesn't matter either way. I just want you to know it's there. And that's huge, especially with emails. It's a little bit different because people with social media, if you spam people, they're just going to unfollow you. If you're just constantly talking about your product and that's all that you're putting out there, they're just like, nah, you're not adding anything to my life. There's a million people who do what you do that are going to add value to my life. because social media is meant to kind of take the cares away from the world. When somebody is scrolling their feed, they're doing it because they need a break from their day, whatever's going on. And you want to be that for them. Because if you're constantly just a billboard for your product and you're like, buy this, buy this, buy this, most likely they're like, unfollow, let's go to somebody else that does something very similar, but they're helping me in my life.
Right.
With email, most people understand that they're going to receive promotional emails. And what's great about that is that there's a higher chance of somebody purchasing from you if you're actually direct about like, hey, this is what I have. This is where you can get it. I'll see you there. People are more apt to purchasing. So what I think is awesome is using Instagram to market yourself, get them, showcase your products and the social proof and the benefits. And then on the back end, if you're also emailing them about it, that's when the conversion is just like, it just is so seamless that you can send a campaign of 6-7 days of emails about your product and you're going to generate interest every single day. Yeah. And that's pretty cool. So I think that the ROI is when you're really showcasing the benefits without being like, buy it. And then on the back end too, sending those emails. So that's important.
And it doesn't matter what you do. This is what is so important. It doesn't matter if you have a physical product or if you're like me, who's a therapist, who is really just showing up to provide you with life skills. There will be a conversion of some sort if you're showing up and teaching people and giving them value. That's so important. So whatever it is you're doing, whatever that dream is, or whatever you're currently, doing right now, if you show the value, and you build that trust, build that love, that customer relationship, that's what it is. I mean, Instagram essentially is customer relations all day long, I mean, it is, right?
Yeah. And the cool part about that is because you're putting yourself out there, that you have to understand that like social media is there 24/7. So whenever somebody opens their phone up, your product could be in their face without them even realizing it. And then when you go and then do talk about it or send that email, they're like, oh, shoot, that's what so-and-so was talking about. Okay, I need this. Or, or even if somebody else is using something very similar, they'll be like, oh, well, Shannon sells that exact same thing. Or, Emily does XYZ and helps people do that. I'm going to go reach out to them because I have that relationship with them. Even if you've never spoken to them before, never sent a message, they automatically, once they're following you and they see your stuff, your stories and things, and they automatically think you're best friends. Like that's just how social media is. And you've never met them in your life. And then all of a sudden they're your best friend, and but you've never said anything to them before. Not specifically to them, but
there's something important to point out with that point as well, is that there is this instant connection. You will find that your social media following, if you have made that connection with them, will be your bigger supporter than the people who are physically in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to have even your bestest of friends hate you for what you're doing. And I have lost friends along the way. Not by anything I could ever think that I did, other than my following grew faster than theirs. Like that is literally the only thing I can think of. No other explanation for it to me. And I didn't even realize it was happening. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, they've never texted me back. And it's 3-4 weeks later. And then I try again. And like, oh, but then you can post on your story crying, having the worst day, and you will have an outpour of just loving messages from people you have never met, never talked to, and may never see in real life ever, unless you plan an event, which a lot of people do. But it's crazy that love that you're going to get from a stranger on social media. And I think it's, what do they say? And I've never really been in this situation myself because I don't drink, but what they say, it's like women in a bar at 2 a.m. and how they're hyping each other up in the bathroom. Like that's the love you get from,
so true.
from people you've never met on the internet. And there will be, I posted, my dog has Lyme's disease, and every once in a while have somebody reach out to me and be like, how's Rogue doing? And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, they're Lyme's. They're like, oh, that was like a year ago that I was talking about that, and I haven't shared anything in a while. But they're so concerned because they just thought about her. And it's like, wow. And, we all go through things, and it's okay to be vulnerable with those people too, because they want to connect with somebody who's real. And if you're actually real and share your real life, then you're going to have people who flock to you even more. And that goes from someone who's just following you to someone who's your biggest fan and your biggest supporter. And that's what you're hoping to build, that community.
It's actually really beautiful. And take that connection. Why not? We're built for connection and we're wired for it. We need it. And if you don't have that in your day-to-day physical life, it's okay to build that on your social media and use that to build yourself and the love and connection you need. It's wonderful.
And I think there's something to be said about going into close Facebook groups of entrepreneurs in your industry. And you can even say, listen, I have nobody in my life who understands what I'm doing. My significant other thinks I'm crazy, all those things. Is there anybody out there who needs a business best friend or someone else to like have a weekly Zoom call or something? And I'm guarantee you probably have like 50 people who are like, yes, please, I need this in my life too, because I'm going through the exact same situation. And I think that's really cool because we on the internet can hype each other up so much better than because we don't have jealousy towards that person or, any ill will towards them. They're a complete stranger, but you're going to find some of your best friends through that, especially if you need it. Because I know so many people, I'm lucky that my husband believes in me and everything that I do. And that my mom told him on the day that we met, and I don't know why she said that. She's like, first day she met him, she's like, Brittany's going to make you rich. She's going to make you a lot of money. And I'm like, he's like, I don't know what you can do. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to do that. And he's very supportive, but I know because I have friends and people like, they don't understand what I'm doing. And I've been in relationships in the past where if I would have ever thought, of doing that, they would have no support whatsoever. And if I was ever better than them in any way, that it would have been squashed right away. And so I know people are in that situation. So you can find that support group if you look for it. And a lot of times it's not doing a whole lot of looking. It's just going on to Facebook close groups and searching, and you're going to find a community of entrepreneurs in your same industry. And you're going to one post. If you can get past it and just make that post, you're going to find somebody who's there for you.
Yeah. It's so needed, so necessary. And it is so beautiful because women do want to support each other. It's just, we've been told not to. Yeah. And that's the frustrating part. We've been told, like, don't do that. Don't hype that chick up that you may actually learn something from. Don't share her post. She's, impeding on your territory, on your ground. Guys, I'm sorry. Close the kids' ears. This is bullshit, right? Like step up and be a friend and be a mentor or be willing to learn from somebody who knows something more than you do. I know I have reached out to you personally and said, okay, help me here. I'm trying to understand. And you've always been so kind to answer my question and to show me how to do it. I mean, people wanted help.
Yeah. And I think being okay with reaching out to those people too, but also being okay being the person for that somebody else, because you're going to have eventually, and maybe even right away, someone who jumps right into your corner and is like, but I don't know how to do this, or can you help me? Or even I have people that I've never met and they'll send me a message like, I'm going through this right now, Brittany, can you say something to me that's positive? I'm like, I'm not the positive police over here, but you're sharing this with me and, we've never talked before, but you see me in my stories. So you obviously think we're good friends. And I'm going to say something encouraging back, because we should be supporting each other versus pitting each other, against each other, which we have learned from such an early age. And I think that we just, as women, we need to be able to do that. We need to be okay with taking up space.
There it is.
Because that's something like, whatever it is, in every space, there are going to be guys who are better than you. And there's particular people out there, and I go through it myself, that men who don't want women to succeed, and they'll try to do things, say things, and you just be okay and know that you can take up space. You are perfectly capable, and you should, and it is a gift that you need to share, and that you are allowed to do it because you're you. That's simple.
Amen.
Yeah. Also, eventually, and I know because I'm going through it right now, I just think it's hilarious because it used to hurt me so much. If you're doing your job right, you are going to have haters, and you're going to have people who are doing and saying the craziest of things on your post to you. Just the craziest of things, especially if you have one go like even like moderately viral. You're going to have typically men come out of the woodwork, and I've had women spread hate too, which I don't think we should be doing this, and they're going to say some things to you and you're going to be like, why would they say that to me? It's going to hurt. But know that it's not you, it's them. They're the ones hurting and they're just trying to put it on you. And I could say all the things, and I'm maybe not the best person to say that, but just know that eventually, if you're doing it right,
yes,
people are going to say some bad things about you in the comment section or send you really weird DMs or mean DMs, and just know that like, oh, okay, so Brittany said I'm doing something right because this person was really rude to me.
Yes.
That's okay. You can block them, or you can do what I do. And like, someone's like, I don't know why, but I really hate her. And I'm like, it's cool. I've got plenty of people that love me. Another hater doesn't faze me.
Yes.
I'll respond back just kind of like sarcastically or whatever. And I'm at that point. But before, that would have destroyed me. Like, why do you hate me? What is wrong with me? And I think that now, if you're starting now, that you're going to end up having that happen, and just be okay. Be like, okay, this is not about me. This is about them. I know it's hard, but
I always say behavior is a good tattletale. So make sure that you know that if you are getting that kind of hate, yes, as Brittany said, you are doing something right, but also that their behavior is really telling on them, not you. So just let it go. Let's talk about something that is the hottest debate on Instagram. Not really, but kind of. Stories, lives, reels, posts. So overwhelming. Where do we start? Where do we go? I think I know what your answer is going to be, but for everybody who is just getting started, what would it be?
I would say, okay, whatever you are comfortable doing to start, that will get you started.
Yeah.
That is the best place to start. As you get more comfortable with using different features, when you do your first couple reels, it's going to suck because it's going to take you a while to do them. And you're going to be like, why am I doing this? And then you'll get the habit and the hang of editing and things, and it's not going to be as difficult. It's crazy because everything is there for a purpose. And I guess I'll go through that. It'll give you the purpose, and you can kind of decide what you want more in it. So reels are great, but because they are no longer the new thing on Instagram, they're just like every other piece of content that you're going to post. They can be fun, entertaining, and they could take you a little bit less time to create sometimes than posts. But as far as the algorithm is concerned, they're just as awesome as photos, carousel posts, infographics, or any of the other things. I think that reels can do awesome because they have so many different ways to be featured with the Reels Explore page and the regular Explore page. But are you going to see a mass growth in following if you only focus on them? Probably not. So if you love Reels, create Reels, great. They can grow your account, but it's not going to be astronomical like it was a year and a half ago when Reels first released. If you love carousel posts and that's something you gravitate towards, know that that's really nurturing to your community. And those things are very much saved and shared. So that does a lot of growth for you as well. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, saves are the new super likes. And like, you're supposed to save, then what is it? Save it and then comment on it, then share it and then like it. Like that's supposed to be the order. It doesn't matter. The idea is to collect as much engagement as you can get. However, stories are great for nurturing your following and building that know, like, and trust factor. I know a lot of people think because it disappears in 24 hours that it's a waste of energy and time. No, because those are where your biggest conversions are going to happen. I think stories, because the idea with all of your posts and everything, that's going to hopefully attract people in and get your brand and your business presence out there. But the stories are really where your conversions are going to truly happen. Lives are great for that one-on-one connection because it's real time. People can ask you real questions in real time. You can bring people up on your lives, and that can create a huge community aspect to it. So think of your regular posts and your carousel posts as like outreach, brand recognition, definitely can be selling in them as well. But that's going to be, that's your growth. But your real like moneymaker, I would say, is probably your stories and building that community there, because that's where the trust is built. So
you got to do it all. You got to do it all. And making sure that you're using your stories not only as that selling factor.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Building the trust by showing who you are through your day, giving value and tips, because people feel, because it's only 24 hours, it's not perfect. people like that kind of messiness to it.
Mm-hmm.
So don't feel like this has to take like 50 takes of one thing that you want to say. 1, 2 takes. At first it's going to feel overwhelming. Don't watch yourself. Don't listen to it. If you're not going to post it, like just post it. But the thing is, like, that's your day, your day-to-day life, what you're passionate about, what you have, fun with in your day-to-day life. And, the more put together things are going to be your reels and your posts. But the big thing is that your stories are there to nurture the community that you're building, and your posts and your reels and your carousel posts. It's all going to be your growth, your marketing. And then lives are really going to be that connection point, that real deep dive of that connection.
I love that. I think the next natural question for most people will be, why does it seem that Instagram always dumbs down the things that you are trying to get people to leave from?
Instagram's whole point is to keep people on the app for as long as possible and to keep them scrolling. They want to show you as many ads as they can, and they want to be the big bad app that people just spend all of their time on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you're saying, like, if you're writing a post and you're writing the caption, you're like, go to the link in my bio. It's possible that post may not do as well as it typically would, because Instagram has never said this, but I believe by my own testing that Instagram's just like, we don't want people to go off the app. We don't really want them to go to the link in your bio and then go to the next thing. Mm-hmm. So, instead just put the little like link emoji, and then I type a B and there's an I emoji and the little blue things and then the O. And then you kind of get around that. And then in your actual bio, give people a reason to click the link, because it is also people's safe space, to be safe in something. So that's one reason why you have to give them a reason to go to the link in your bio, is because someone's clicking off their safe space and going to that next point. Right. So you have to get them really comfortable with you and trusting too. Otherwise they won't do it. Now, as far as stories, because it's a sticker now and the way that it's set up, and most accounts have it, there are still some accounts who don't have the link sticker. But through testing, I've not found any difference of story views when a link sticker has been shared. So I think people are perfectly fine doing that. I just think posts, you might be a little bit more mindful and not directly say, go to the link in my bio. Mm-hmm. And don't type out HTTP, all that stuff, because we can't do clickable links.
Most people have an Instagram account, but if they're converting to a business and they're really now beginning to use their page for a business setting, the bio, so important. Can you talk about what's necessary and why you want to have just a really kick-ass bio as an entrepreneur?
The moment you decide to make money from Instagram, your Instagram is no longer about you. It's the community that you're trying to build. It's the person you're trying to help. So you really need to make sure that your bio conveys the exact who. That's why niching down is so important. When I say niching down, it's not beauty or makeup. It is a small demographic of people. Mm-hmm. You're looking for a very small community of people. You need to just say who you're trying to help, how you help them, what benefits they'll receive if they follow you, and a dang good reason why they should stick around and follow you. Like there's key points there. It's the who, what they're going to get when they follow you, and then why they should stick around. And that will be what creates a really great bio. Now, if you're somebody who's coming from a personal account, I would recommend just going and switching and getting a new account and going to a business account, keeping your personal and your business, just because there might be things that you don't necessarily want a lot of people that don't actually know you, to see. Like there are creepos out there. And if you have a bunch of photos of your kids and your family and you have tagged locations and stuff, that can get a little, so maybe create that business account so you don't have all of that personal stuff out there, and keep your personal account private. But, that would be business or creator account, and then really hone in on the who and the how, because that's going to be what, when people come to your page and they see it and they're like, oh, this is me. Oh, I need that. That's when they stick around.
And I know at one point we were watching you talk about this niche and creating this one idyllic customer. Like, who is she? Can you walk us through that? Because I think that was so empowering to me when I first opened the Get Your Life Together Girl page. It was like, I know what I want to do. I know what I'm qualified to do. I know I can help people. Who am I trying to reach exactly? other than females.
Right. And yeah, it does have to dive deeper than that. And, I think that's difficult for people too. It's hard to go from like male, female, non-binary, that type of thing. But, we all speak differently. And then you have to dive down to like age generations. We speak differently. We have different things that we enjoy, the terminology that we use, what my slang is nothing like, my 14-year-old niece's slang and, yes. or my mom's slang. So who am I most qualified to reach out to? Because that also could be something too. Like maybe you're 30 years old, but you're qualified to help seniors, may not be the perfect app for you, but there are,
right.
But then you need to know how to speak to them. Because that's how your content should be geared. It should be geared as if you're talking to them, how you have them right in front of you. And I would typically say most likely for the average business owner out there, the person that you're trying to help is you just a couple steps back. And that's who you really need to focus and cater to. And you need to be very specific about that person because, while yes, you will still attract people who are not in your perfect little box, you're going to convert the people who are much quicker. The people who aren't in your perfect box might take a little bit of time. They'll still be attracted to some of your content, but instead of you trying to speak to everybody and nothing really sticking with anybody, you're converting right away with the hot leads that are the perfect box people. And what I call your broad audience who fit into a couple things, maybe not even the gender that you're reaching to. They may take a little bit longer, but they're still going to get there if your product is meant for them.
I love that kind of really focused idea. And then the other place that you can then really see what you have created is by going into your insights and taking an even deeper dive into who that person is, male, female, whatever it might be, and then their age, all of those things.
And once you get to 100 followers, you can see when like people are online, you get a little bit more details into it, but you can see who you're already attracting and the age group that you're already attracting. And if they're male or female, I think eventually we'll probably have some more specifics as far as, the genders and everything in there. But, with everything that Instagram's been doing with that, and you're going to be able to determine like, am I actually attracting those people? Is that the people that I'm trying to reach as far as the normal statistical stuff that we're looking at with the age and, the location of them and that sort of thing then you can determine inside of your insights if that's actually working. And if it is, then keep doing it. If it's not, then you need to start looking at your content and figuring out what you're doing to attract the wrong thing.
What would your absolute best piece of advice be for a woman that has listened to us over this last hour and has said, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to do this. I'm just kind of on that teetering edge. What would you say? Create
the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about your person. Just create it and put it out there and don't look back. Like that's, if you start overthinking it, you're not going to do it. So just whatever that first idea is, if that's you scrolling your reels for 5 minutes, put a timer on it. You're like, oh, I like this. And this is what I'm going to say to this person. Do it. Don't overthink about it. Just do it. Put it out there because it doesn't matter what you're putting out now. 6 months, it's going to be a lot better. A year from now, it's going to be so much better. So don't overthink it. Just kind of do it. If you're at that point already, just do it.
Yeah. And stop judging yourself.
If you're listening to this, you're probably a natural born entrepreneur and you just don't realize it yet. There's something in you that knows that you can do this. And there is not a lot of people who understand like that they don't want to be stuck in a 9 to 5 every day and that they don't want to trade time for dollars. And know that if you do this thing that sounds a little crazy, you can get to the point where your time is your time and it's not, someone else isn't benefiting from it. In a sense of like a job or whatever. People don't understand that. Right. They don't get like, if they're not built for that, they don't get it. So then they're going to shoot you down or say things like, was that about me? Or make you feel bad for the content you're creating or tell you they just don't understand it or that you should get a real job or something like that. And that's because their brain's just not built for that. And you have to love them and bless them and put them on their way and not let it affect you because you're built for it. If you're here, you're built for it. So you just have to realize that not everybody has that brain. And that's okay.
Yeah.
We love them.
Beautiful advice. If somebody wanted to really get going, how would they find you? What courses do you have to offer? Because I know there's quite a few.
If you want to find me, it's Brittney, Brittney, Batla, Batla. I do have a free training called Hustle Less and Profit More. And I do outline the systems that I use and what I teach my students to really market themselves on Instagram, start growing a following, but not only that, converting those followers along the way and teaching you how to do it so you're not in this overwhelm of hustle. Because I understand you have a life and a business to run, and I don't want you spending all of your time on Instagram. And I want you to be able to do the things in your business that are going to make you happy, and creating a really great lead generating machine all through Instagram. So I have that free training. It does talk about a program and a mastermind that I have, which is Oh My Gram, which is an Instagram growth course that teaches you how to use Instagram. But on the back end, you have my daily support through a Facebook community. And then you have monthly calls with me to help keep you going whenever you need a boost or questions. Like, I'm there for you. And then I have the email marketing course, which is Email Like a Boss. That's just a mini course. It's $47, and it teaches you how to start your email list, implement a monthly newsletter. And then I'll also give you step-by-step scripts of like how to sell your products through your emails. And then if you just want something that's real specific, I have Reel Like a Boss, which is again a mini course, and that takes you through just how to use Reels. And that's from content creation to the editing software and how do you find trends and spot them and things like that. So that's a lot of fun too.
It is fun. I actually took that course and I remember doing my first one thinking, okay, this really sucks. Okay, Brittany, I did it.
Yeah,
I did it. I'm really proud that I did it. This sucks. I will laugh though, because it's still the number one reel that I have.
No way. That's awesome.
I laugh every time.
But some of my early reels, and they took off, and I'm just like, whoa, that was so bad compared to what we have, now. And just so, because it's fun. You can laugh at yourself, whatever you were doing along the way before, and pretty much have a video diary of everything that you've done, in your back pocket. And that's pretty cool to see how far you progressed to. But the big thing is that, like I said, it's like, yeah, I did it. It wasn't great. It wasn't beautiful, but it worked.
And one of the things that I kind of approach Instagram or any of our social media with is life is messy. It's okay to be messy too, right? Like if we're perfect every single time, it's going to be messy. In the very beginning, I would have a misspelling, or not really misspelling, but like the wrong word or something. And I'd be like, oh my God, take it down, take it down. And then I'm like, no, just let it go. Right. Like, just let it go. I'm not perfect. So, show up as yourself. We make mistakes. It's okay.
My biggest post from the very beginning was like, I think it was meant to say the number one way to boost your post or something like that. And I put post to boost it to post. And I'm just like, oh man, I'm also dyslexic, and I just don't care at this point. There's always a misspelling or a wrong word, and I'm just like, at this point.
Oh my gosh. Hold on a second though. I want to have a moment with that, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
The fact that you just said I'm dyslexic, and you certainly are not allowing that to hold you back. And I would not have known that by any post whatsoever. We all have things in our challenge wheelhouse that we must, conquer and come through, whether that is internal issues or your processing issues or whatever. We all have something. Can you talk about that? I think that is amazing, to hear. And I think somebody else will say, well, wait, okay, I struggle with this or that.
I think the biggest thing is being fully unaware that I was for the longest. Didn't know in high school. If I had known, it would have been a whole lot easier. Didn't know. And, back how old I was, in high school, we just didn't know those things about diagnosing any of that stuff. And it wasn't until I met somebody else, but it was a guy, and he's like, I think you're dyslexic. And I'm just like, I just like, maybe. So I took tests, and online, and I'm like, oh, I used to be super self-conscious about it when it came to posting. Like I would send my husband my captions and be like, can you read this and make sure the grammar is right? And then it got to a point where he was reading and he's like, it's really good. He's like, I can change some things you want me to. And I'm like, yeah, do it. And then it came across it wasn't me writing it anymore.
Right.
So then I just realized, I'm like, who cares at this point? I'm not perfect. I'm pretty sure that the person who read it is reading it so quickly that they didn't even register that I used a wrong word or the spell, that it was spelled wrong or whatever. And I think the most I've ever, been made fun of for it was when I said a word wrong, because when you're dyslexic, like you see things and you'll say things wrong sometimes too. And I was saying archive wrong. I was saying archive, and I posted it on TikTok and I got so roused for it. And I said to my husband, I'm like, I'm right, aren't I? He goes, no, you're wrong. I'm like, I think after that, I just was like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
But it can be super self-conscious, especially when you have to write so much. And they do make apps like Grammarly and things like that can help you out, or you can use voice to text, which helped me a lot along the way too, just to make sure that I was doing it right. But at a certain point, I'm just like, I think when you're starting out, you want it to be so perfect. And then along the way, you're like, it doesn't matter so much anymore. It doesn't have to look amazing. It's just, because you have to look at too, that while it's on your feed for however long until you delete it, the life of it, about 72 hours. If somebody is going to come after you for spelling something wrong or whatever, then so be it. And I will say that if you are somebody who is dyslexic, don't care how much people hate on it, Comic Sans is the font for you whenever you're writing in stories or on your reels. And I know it's made fun of, but it has the least amount of characters that look alike. So there are times that I will write everything in Comic Sans so I can reread it and then switch it to whatever font I want to look better. Because I know there's a lot of hate on it, but don't be afraid to use it.
1, it's that perseverance. 2, it's making things work. And 3, it's really knowing that it's not that serious. Like, you can do what you want to do as long as you don't stop yourself. And there's always a workaround, always. So thank you for sharing that with us, because I think that's so important to so many people, that you guys, whether it's deep trauma or it's processing, whatever it might be, if we allow that to be our daily driver, it will continue to drive us right into the ground, right out of our greatness, right out of our purpose, when we really should be using it as the motivation to take those things to the next level. Absolutely. So please do that. Yeah. I always end every podcast with the same kind of question. And it's, what are your 3 things? What are your top 3 things that are either working for you in your life, or the top 3 things that you want people to know, or that you have deep gratitude for? So I'll leave it with you. Your choice. What are your top 3 things?
I would say that I'm very thankful for all the things that I have been through that have gotten me to this point, because without them, I would not be the human I am today. So even as hard as they were, going through them and even thinking about them, knowing that they made me this person is pretty amazing. Very grateful for my husband and how helpful he's been, and just like that strong person that I can rely on whenever I need somebody. But also, just, I think if I were going to put something else out there, is knowing that I grew so much mentally to this point, and that I have the ability to continue to grow myself through spending time doing things that I feel compelled to do, which is, like reading every morning and journaling and taking that time for myself so I can grow physically, mentally as a person. Like, I won't take that for granted. Being able to commit that time to myself too is pretty amazing.
Amazing 3 things, definitely. Thank you for spending time with us, for encouraging women to step up and to show up, because we all need just that little extra boost and push sometimes. So I can't thank you enough.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Social media often gets a bad rap, and of course it does have its weighted cons. However, when you leap, move into imperfect action to get your life together and be excited about what's unfolding for you, you just never know what might land in your path. Life can only get better when you live within your purpose, within a healed story, and having the confidence enough within yourself and your dreams to do something a bit greater. If you want to dive deeper and continue to learn from Brittany, you can follow her on Instagram at Brittney with an E, Batla. Brittany does have free trainings available to you, which can be found in the link in her bio. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to tune in on Tuesday and Thursday of each week when new episodes of the Get Your Life Together Girl podcast is released. If you're looking for daily inspiration, join the growing community at Get Your Life Together Girl on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, or visit getyourlifetogethergirl.com for additional videos, blogs, and upcoming events. Thank you for listening and being a valuable part of this community. Please don't forget to leave a review as it helps spread this message to others who may need it. Until next time, be kind to yourself and others.